when they get to school, they go in the bathroom and they change into whatever they want to wear. So there may be some additional things that are going on, but again, it takes us assessing all that information, you know, gathering all that information, putting it together, and then making an accurate assessment as to what's happening. And the only way we can do that is with the cooperation of parents, the school teachers, and the child, and possibly some neighbors. Now, one of the funniest things that occur is that many cases of child abuse or neglect happen within our own families, and we know something is going on. We know Aunt so-and-so is not raising their kids right. We know they're not feeding them right. We know they are punishing them very harsh, beating them with, you know, all kinds of objects leaving marks. We know that in our own families, but many times we don't do anything about it because,
That's right.
you know, we say that's, you know, well, that's how they run their house. I'm not going to tell them how to run their house. But we may very well be leaving a child in danger. Because sometimes people take it a little bit further, and when that happens, that normally winds up in a serious injury to a child, and sometimes even the death of a very young child. Yeah.
Another question?
Yes, I have a question. Something to say about that. Years ago, I was involved with that, whereas I was seeing, you know, my little small cousins being mistreated, and I know that they was being mistreated, and they always relied on me and came to me to feed them and do for them and stuff like that, and I felt that it was being, well, I know they was being abused in the leg as well. I had took my little cousin to school, and once I got him to school, he had scratches and stuff on his back where his mother was 8 months pregnant, had been jumped on him and stuff like that. You know, which, like he said, it hurts because it's a family member, but everybody was sitting around, never saying anything, never said anything. Everybody was always coming to me and this and that, and I guess I just blew up over it or whatever and just got tired of seeing it. So when I took him to school, they called the social service and did it, so it was like everybody was like hot and mad with me or whatever. But I did see to him being taken care of at a young age.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm glad you did that, because you may have, you never know when you have saved that child from severe injury and psychological scars that go on for years into adulthood. People who are adults are still dealing with issues from their childhood.
I think Dr. McPherson has a comment, a question earlier. I had one earlier.
Okay, if a child is abused at home, verbally and beaten real bad and whatnot, and nothing is done about it, but this child goes into school and react from that, it might not be nothing said or done, what happens then?
Well, again, if that's happening, we take a comprehensive assessment. We talk to the child, we talk to the teachers, we talk to the parents, and by the time we get done with everyone, it's pretty good. We have a pretty good picture of what's occurring. And sometimes, again, like the deputy said, we have some folks who are very good at what they do, and we have some folks who experience challenges. But we have a couple levels of oversight to make sure that these don't fall through the cracks. So if a worker doesn't catch it, we expect the supervisor to catch it. If the supervisor doesn't catch it, we expect the next level program manager to catch it. So we have a number of checks and balances in our system to make sure we don't miss out of the opportunity of protecting a young child who may be in trouble.
Thank you. I have another question for you before we end this session. You did give some statistics in reference to, I guess, about 5,000, maybe 400 negligence, and the 900 foster care. Now, we're talking about the raising black children. Do you know the percentage of the foster care and those who are negligent in our community that may be African American?
Yes, our latest data shows that about 56% of the kids in foster care are African American. And that's sort of in proportion with the county statistics racially. Cumberland County is about half and half. But, you know, it's still a high number however you look at it. And to me, if we have one child in foster care, that's one child too many. But again, we have to look at the reasons why that child's in foster care. Is he there because we had to remove him to protect his safety because his parents very well may have done something more drastic and inflicted more serious bodily harm or injury to the child? So those are things we have to constantly assess. But yes, we do keep track of data. We do track our data, and we do use that data to help us manage programs. And we do look at it from a racial and a gender perspective. So we'll know how many males and how many females are in our system. We'll know what the breakdown is racially, and even the age groups. We know how many are above this age and below this age. So we do keep track of data and track of our children, and even the trends. We don't look at it just from 1 year. We look at it over a series of years to see, okay, why are we receiving more this year than we did last year? You know, what has happened? There's things that happen outside of our control that generate higher levels of abuse and neglect. In this community, we have a lot of military people returning from overseas active duty engagement, and they come back with some really untreated mental diagnosis. And we see it manifest itself in domestic violence, substance abuse, and child abuse and neglect. So sometimes outside factors also impact the very nature of the work that we do.
Thank you very much. So well said. We do appreciate your sharing with us such value at this time, and we certainly want to hear what he has to say, and I believe that it is something that will benefit everyone that we can share. This presenter is Troy Enterprises.
Kenyatta Troy.
Kenyatta Troy. Okay, Enterprises. And we're going to have him to come at this time in his own way.
I won't be here standing before you too long. Thank God for allowing me, for allowing y'all to be here too. As I was saying earlier about the decisions I made as a child, I used to be the age of all y'all sitting right here, except for the one that's older than me. And you know, I try to like from hitting the point where my mother was talking about kids that's 15 in your teenage years that don't like listening. I was there. You know, I'm not gonna sit here and sugarcoat nothing to you and nothing like that. But I was one of those child that didn't listen. I remember times my dad used to come where I was at, and like he knew I was in sports, but I had a feeling, I didn't see it at the moment, but he knew that I was on a different path than I was. See, your parents know where you're going before you even start going there. You know, that comes from y'all thinking that we think that we know everything. But as I was saying about the age of 16, you know, I was hard-headed, didn't want to listen, didn't think, you know, I wasn't disrespectful. I was just hard-headed. You tell me something, okay, no feedback or nothing. Well, I'm gonna backtrack a little bit because it's something that I really, really want to point out to the young people. And that's when your parents tell you something. When your parents talk to you, don't give them any feedback or an explanation or, you know, just now when mom or dad ask you to do something, I'm like, why I got to, if you doing them like that, when you hit the big world, it's gonna come right back on you. It's gonna be harder for you to comprehend, for you to grab hold of somebody that's trying to tell you something. If somebody trying to tell you something and you don't listen at a young age, when you get older and somebody trying to tell you something, you're gonna always have an attitude. You're gonna be always bigger and arguing, and you don't even know where it comes from. It comes from a young age. Everything comes from a young age, just like you plant a seed. You plant a seed, that seed ain't never been a tree. It has the capability of being a tree. So what we here today is to help all the young people, even myself, you know, to be better kids, be better parents, and stuff like that. But I had I mean, you know, like I said, I had disappeared from my family for 14 years. Could you imagine being away from your loved ones, the people that you know, for 14 years? Could you just imagine that? With nobody, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, your people visit you for 2-3 hours, but what about them 6 days that you didn't see your parents? Or you didn't have no money to call home. You didn't have no money to put a stamp on the envelope. You have people, you know, and you have people that care about you, but you have shown people that you don't want to listen to what they're saying. So what they do is, you know, you reap what you sow. Once you get in a place, an environment like that, I'm not saying that somebody gonna treat you harsh, but you know, you always got loving people, a loving organization. Church is always there, whether you're in jail, whether you're in the hospital, whether church is always gonna be there. So what I'm saying is you know, parents, my kids, future kids who are watching this, you know, it's just like the officer said, it's just like the mother said, it's just like the doctor here said. You know, we gotta grasp hold of the young kids at a young age. You know, teach them respect. Teach them, you know, respect yourself, because, you know, just like mother said, if you don't love yourself, no way in the world you can love somebody else. You don't have respect for yourself, ain't no way in the world you can show somebody else respect, because you don't know what it is. You know what I'm saying? But I just wanted to point out a few things about respecting the law. You know, I've been locked up 14 years, and somebody that's been locked up 14 years also, they can have a negative attitude towards the police. But I don't have a negative perspective of the police, period. And I can tell you an incident that I'm not proud of, where I could have got shot and killed if I just would have moved the wrong way. Because you have to look at it. You know, the officers, they are going in and they're going to a situation they don't know nothing about. You know, they don't know this person got a gun, they don't know this person got a knife, they don't know this person is mentally ill or anything. But we must always teach our kids to be respectful of authority. You know, teachers, parents. You know, you gotta respect your parents. You gotta respect your teacher. You gotta respect the law. If you don't respect the law, you go where I was telling you to go. Where I've been. You go to prison. You go to jail. And you see all sorts of stuff in there that, you know, it's not normal out here. You know, and I thank God for letting me come back into society, being a productive citizen and with my sane mind. I got a sane mind, I'm not crazy. You know, I may act silly sometimes, but I'm not crazy. But I thank God for that. I just want, you know, I just want a brighter future for, especially for young, black kids. You know, cause, it's a whole lot of us that our parents was babies when they making babies having babies. You know, that was part of my generation. You know, babies making babies. You know, I was a baby making a baby. Didn't know how to take care of a baby. You know, stuff get forced upon you, you know what I'm saying? Once you have a kid, you know, all that, you don't want to hang out with your friends and stuff like that and throw the baby off on your mama and stuff like, you know, wipe that out. It don't work like that. You know, a responsible parent is going to take care of their kids. You know, like I said, I have a daughter that's here. I missed 14 years of her life. It's nowhere in the world that I can get that back. So what I had to do, when I come out here, I had to sit, you know, I had to be like, hey, it is what it is. I apologize, sorry, you know what I'm saying? But I can't make up for that lost time. The only thing I can do is just pick up from where I left off at. You know, show her that, you know, I'm not like that. You know, I'm not, you know, I'm not this bad person. You know, I was just going through some things, thinking that I can do what I want to do.
That's right.
And I also tell kids in my household all the time, my stepkids, look, you can't do what you want to do. When you're 45 years old, you cannot do what you want to do. When you're 50 or 100 years old, you cannot do what you want to do. There's always going to be somebody to tell you how to do something, or how to, when to do something, how to do it. You know what I mean? That's just life. You know, you shouldn't get upset. You know, like I was telling a young guy this morning, Mr. Hollow, that, you know, somebody telling them something, because I know what it's like when parents tell kids something. They go, I don't want to hear that. If you don't want to hear it, at least try to find something positive. If you think if they're telling you something negative, at least try to find something positive, what they're trying to say to you. Because in every negativity is something positive. So you can get something positive out of it. You know, I mean, just, you know, if you don't like it, you know, don't display that you don't like it, but being disrespectful. I mean, just go around the corner and, you know, just go around the corner with it. You know, don't show that to another adult. It might not be your mama, it might not be your dad, but you might have another adult watching. You know, just, you know, one of the main things about, like I said, with young kids is, you know, us parents need to teach them to respect each other. You know what I'm saying? That's how a whole lot of people get killed. That's why, you know what I'm saying? That's how, it's just my opinion. You know, the Michael Brown incident, you know, certain situations with young black men getting killed by officers. You know, you have to look at it, was he being respectful? I don't, you know what I'm saying, like I tell you about the incident that I was in, where I couldn't move my hands any kind of way, I could have been shot. You know, I was sitting in a car, and it was an officer standing over me, and one pointing the gun away from, you know, like a couple of feet away from him, and another one on the other side of the driver door, and you got several of them in the front, and I don't even know how many in the back, because I didn't want to look back. I didn't want to make any sudden moves. You know, because the officers, they're edgy too. Not saying all of them good or what, stuff like that, but majority of them are. Majority of them are here to help us. You know, because we need that order, we need that law. But if I would have made just slightly move, they probably would have filled that car with bullets. And I wouldn't even be here talking to y'all. I'd be another statistic. You know, I just want to share with y'all that, you know, learn to respect your elders and, you know, honor your mother and your father. Those two things you will live long on this land that God has provided y'all with, provided us with, you know. There's nothing wrong with going to church, you know. Going there, you know what I'm saying, listen to the word. Because, you know, at the age of 16, I'm not in front. I wasn't thinking about church. I wanted to go out there and have fun with my so-called friends. Y'all call it so-called, but then when I was going through it, there was my home.